Connie, Light Talks.
Nice to meet you all. Nice to be here.
Mm.
All right. Well, do you wanna get started on our topic and what we're gonna talk about today?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, awesome.
Yesterday
So
we had our first vision statement workshop. It was so cool. We had about 10 participants and we got to support them in starting their vision statement and writing it out and meditating on what it is that they want to um, to see in their lives. And it was very cool.
it was very cool.
Yeah. And we're going to have, you have an opportunity for at least three more options coming up next Sunday, then the following Thursday, and then the last Sunday of the month. Um, those times we will put in. You can find that link in the description to sign up for that work for those workshops, and also on our social medias and our websites. You can find all that information. We would love to see you there.
Yeah, it was really fun. We got to work with a lot of different folks, and people were sharing kind of what they came up with and what they wrote during the writing portion of the workshop. And folks got to ask questions about working with a vision statement and versus working with like affirmations and mantras. So it was really nice, and I think it was also very helpful for folks.
Hmm.
Awesome.
Definitely.
So today we're going to continue on the theme of vision statements, and we're going to talk a little bit about what to expect from working with a vision statement, the clarity that you can get from a vision statement, the manifestation that you can see from bringing your focus consistently back to your vision over and over again, as well as beginning and coming to a place where you're more connected and understanding your life purpose.
Hmm. Yeah, and the purpose of understanding your life purpose,
The
reason for
purpose.
it, is when you know what your purpose is, or one of the many you might have more than one purpose on this in this
Hmm.
lifetime. But when you know what it is, it's a guiding point to come back to. So it's when we get sidetracked and confused and overwhelmed,
Distracted.
distracted, it brings us back. It brings us back into focus, into connection with our knowing, um, our desires, and so that we are not wasting our time. We're not messing around. We're not losing our center
Hmm.
in, in the distraction of everything else that's going on around us.
That's a really, when you said the word center, I think that's a really important word.
Mm.
Like the vision statement can help you identify that center. It can help you identify where your point of balance is, where your point of calm is. And the vision statement can help you return to that over and over again. Like most folks, lives are busy, lives are hectic, they're full of obligations. And then on top of it, integrating and including the things that you do not only to take care of yourself, also recognizing and acknowledging the things that are putting you on the steps towards your vision, to achieving your vision.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah, and they can be applied. The vision statement can be applied to so many things. I mean, when I first started working with um, my first wasn't even a client yet. It was just a friend. This was like the seed that started all of this work for me back in 2008. I was going through old emails and I just found this piece of writing that I wrote when I first launched my work with clients, and it was sharing the story. And I was working with a friend. I had gone to stay with her for like 3 months, and she was in a transition of moving out of the house she was living in for, I don't remember, several years. She'd been there for several years, and she was going through all her things. And the word in like the statement envisioned self, your envisioned self,
Mm,
what we were working with. That's what came up. And so as she was going through her stuff,
mhm,
we had this image of our envisioned self the entire time of decluttering and letting go of things. So as we were going through her closet, she would go through piece by piece, and she'd go, I don't know, like, do I keep this? Do I not keep this? And we'd come back to this envisioned self. Go,
mm,
is your envisioned self, is she wearing this? It was
mhm.
like such an intense process, because our envisioned self most of the time is not who we are. I mean, it is the same person, but it's not how we are now.
Well, what it is it's not how we're projecting in the world.
Yeah,
It's not the reality of how we're projecting or how we're moving in the world.
yeah.
And so that's really interesting. Like I just imagine you sitting there with your friend and going back to the envisioned self and you asking her that question, do you see this envisioned self wearing this? And like it's almost like when you set up that circumstance, you're setting up the opportunity for like the yes, the no, the
Mhm.
yes, the no. And it becomes very, very clear when you're doing that kind of process, whether it is with people, places, or things. Like it can be with, association, with any of those kinds of
Yeah,
groupings.
yeah, yeah. And it was, to a certain extent, it makes it easy to make that decision, right? Yes,
Mhm.
she would. No, she wouldn't.
Right.
But after saying the no, that, like, all the feelings come up, right? Because then a
Right.
part of you right now has to shift out of being attached to something that no longer serves you.
Yeah. Or that you don't identify with or that doesn't support your expression, your expression of self. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it's a really, really interesting process. I have to say for myself, moving, I think is it's one of the most classic examples and opportunities that people have
yeah,
for that kind of work that you just described. And, I've moved many, many times over the course of my life. And every time I've moved, I've gone through a similar process like that. And with each move and each releasing of, people, places, and things, it's created more and more clarity and really created much more of a focal point in terms of what I want my life to look like, what I want my days to look like, what I want them to feel like, what I want in them. Um, and so I think that's a really perfect example of one of those processes. That's just everybody has been through it,
yeah,
at some point in their life, whether it was just going to college or whatnot. And the other thing I will just add with regard to that is that if you work with someone, you can set up the parameters and boundaries of that kind of process for yourself, whether you're moving or not.
right.
And you can apply that to all different kinds of areas of your life if there's a particular area that you want to focus on.
Yeah. And it can be as quick as I got to move out in 3 days, or, a little bit more luxurious and, spread out throughout, a year or whatever. It doesn't have to be an intense process. It
Right,
can be a little softer and a little gentler.
for
Um,
sure.
I do remember there's a Abraham Hicks where they say, this always confused me, or it confused me when I first heard it, but I think about it often. They said most of you would love to come to your house and find that everything burned down. And at first I was like, "What?" And then I realized the meaning of it, right? Like that you don't have to go through that process. You get to restart your life. You get to
Mhm.
get rid of all the backstories and all the baggage and all the things you carry with you, and you just get to start fresh. You get to
Well,
feel fresh.
it's like what you talked about in terms of the quantum shift, right? It's like
Mm,
like you can go like that
yeah,
instead of going through.
yeah.
So, so I think, but doing that when you don't have the strength or the
Mm,
support system and the sort of like that can be very destabilizing.
mhm.
But doing all of the foundational work to prepare for a quantum shift like that, um, you know, it can be super, super satisfying.
So so satisfying. I've done it so many times. It's it's a really it's a really refreshing way to live. It's y- I know a lot of us feel like are like stuck in the day to day.
Mhm,
It's always the same. Everything is like not changing, and it's it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have change all the time, but it's getting it's being in clarity of what things feel good, what things, people, places,
mhm,
activities feel good and are aligned with who I am.
yeah, versus ones that are not and create friction and, you know,
Yeah.
tension and
Mhm.
all of that.
Yeah.
And actively choosing to say no to things that create those things and saying yes to things that don't.
Yeah.
And that's where the vision statement work can really come in helping folks to identify clarity,
Hmm.
like to get clear about the things that they want in their life, the items that they want in their life, the people that they want in their life, the places that they want in their life. Um, to me, that's the first step with the vision statement journey
Hmm.
until you start to see the manifestation. Because just going back to your example with, your friend and, helping her go through the decluttering process to prepare for a move. It's like when I think of the decluttering process, I don't think of it just in terms of items and things and
Yeah.
possessions. I think of it energetically, I think of it emotionally, I think of it spiritually, I think of it relationship wise. I think the decluttering covers a whole range and a whole spectrum. What I think of when I think of decluttering is letting go of something that no longer serves you, that then also creates space for something new to come in that is more in energetic alignment with who you are right now. I know
Abs-
that that's sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
no, absolutely. I'm just absolutely agreeing with you.
Yeah. No, I remember, um, from yesterday from the workshop, the one line that we put in there is like, not who you were, who you are now.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people get stuck on who they were a year ago, who they were 5 years ago, who they were 10. I mean, I know I
Well, they were an
have.
hour ago. I mean,
Yeah,
it's it can happen, right? The
right.
can happen so quickly. So the less stuck we are in this is who I am, like
Yeah,
my
the less
identity,
rigid.
duh, 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 like the more we can relax about finding out what who who we are now. And
Yeah.
it's like the example with the sandwich, right? Like I can start eating a sandwich And then partway through, I can go, I don't want the sandwich anymore and put it down. And I don't have to finish it. Like
Right.
the changing of the mind. And that sandwich can be a partner, a lover, uh, rock climbing. Um, it can,
Right, right.
right?
Anything.
So many things. I can go, oh,
Yeah.
don't feel like doing this anymore.
It reminds me of the title of, First Lady Michelle Obama's book, Becoming. You
Mm,
know, like that the idea of becoming, and I know her book was about the trajectory of her becoming first lady, but just the idea of becoming and that you are consistently in that state of becoming,
absolutely.
and that and it being in that state of becoming is also there's an allowing, there's a receptivity that needs to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess I just want to touch on and move into how the vision statement can connect you to your life purpose, your divine life purpose.
You broke up. So how can it, what your life?
How can the vision statement connect you to your life purpose, your divine life purpose?
Okay. Um, I mean, it gives you the opportunity to discover what it is, right? And then keep coming back to that track. Keep
Mhm.
back to bringing yourself into it.
The discovery piece is, I think that's a critical piece, is allowing yourself to go on the journey of discovery. Um,
So we had actually earlier today, we had a comment on um our first sacred contracts video, our part one that we did a few weeks ago. And I think part of what the question was is how do you know what the sacred contracts, what the purpose, how do you know what it is, right? So, how do we know what our purpose is? And I think that part of how we know, this is one way of many, is by, you use the word allowing, by allowing ourselves the space to connect and discover it,
mhm.
and trusting that we're not um, too much, that we're not delusional, that we're not, uh, right?
Illusional, delusional.
That we
Right.
can clear with our own knowing. Now, that takes us to the difference between, um, like this, the self doubt that we have, right? Like, which voice is saying what I'm hearing? Is it
Mhm,
is it my true inner knowing, or is it my mind, right? This is like a thing that we all deal with, right? Like this, like, in relationships, for example, it's like, should I stay or should I go? Like, I know so many of my clients experience this on a, like, do I stay in this relationship? Do I leave this relationship? Do I stay in this relationship? Do I leave this relationship? Like this, and it can be applied to, do I stay at this job or do I leave this job? Do
right.
I, like, right, to so many things. But there's voices inside of us that say something, and sometimes that voice is our core and our knowing, and sometimes it's something up here that sounds very clear. And so
Mhm.
how do we discern between those voices?
That to me is where the work comes in, the self-awareness, the spending time with yourself, the journaling, the vision statement writing, the meditation, the walking meditation. That's where the work comes in,
Yeah.
because if you don't have a certain strength to that connection and that awareness and that inner knowing, it's going to be really difficult to
Mhm.
distinguish between um, a clarity that's coming from the mind, a clarity that's coming from your inner knowing, uh, something that's coming in from the shadow version of your archetype. It's going to be really, really difficult to distinguish those things. And so, to me, that's where the work comes in. And one of the pieces that can support that is by having a vision statement.
Yeah. Having a vision statement, having um, a support team,
Hmm.
part of what we offer in our archetype workshops and our one on one sessions.
Hmm.
Having people who you can, um, while you do your own work privately, then you can speak it out loud with somebody else and you can get the feedback. You can
Hmm.
the response. And sometimes that response is by asking more questions of you. Sometimes it's um, kind of speaking back to you what we're seeing. So
Hmm.
a lot of it is feedback from our lives, right? The way we live our life gives us feedback. If I am getting in car accidents on a regular basis, if I am hitting my toe while I'm walking, if people are, if something is constantly not working out, if all my electronics are shutting down, whatever it is, that is feedback. That is,
Hmm.
those are patterns to look at and go, what is the universe saying to me? What my higher self saying to me,
Of course.
right?
I think the other piece of it is sometimes it's having someone who's bearing witness to your journey, someone who's acknowledging and validating and
Mhm.
hearing you.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of folks out there who, for whatever reason, the communication style of their family or of their friends, or they're not, like they're in a place where they don't feel heard. And so I would just say to anyone who doesn't feel heard, that having someone in your support that you can trust and that hears you and can
Mhm.
validate and acknowledge what your experience is, and help you to recognize your patterns. That's part of the healing journey. That's one of one of the beginning steps of the healing journey, in addition to getting clarity on your vision and life purpose.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Awesome. Well, just a reminder to everyone, this coming Sunday, we're doing another free vision statement workshop. And like Dr. Orr said, you'll find the links, and how to register
Mhm. Below
connected.
5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, it's gonna be a
Mm,
blast.
hope to see you there.
Awesome.
All
Thank
right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.